Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and iOS 11.4 Beta 6 has been out for a few days. I've been using it on my iPhone 10, my 7 Plus, and my iPad Pro 10.5. Now I wanted to talk about that, and surprisingly this came out only a few days after Beta 5, and I was going to do a follow-up video on that one, and then Beta 6 came out. Now, Beta 5 was pretty good. I had really good battery life with that, although a lot of you said you didn't, and you responded to my poll on Twitter and on YouTube on the community page, and I appreciate all of those responses. I set another poll on there earlier this morning, really early this morning, and wanted to see what you had to say. So we'll talk about that in a moment, but for me, my experience has been pretty good overall, but there has been a few things. It's been a little bit stuttery when scrolling back and forth just through the home screens. If I open an app and then close out of it quickly and scroll, sometimes it hiccups and doesn't move really well. I haven't had any issues in the control center, nothing anywhere else. I haven't had any glitches. I know some of you have, but I haven't had any specifically. Now, there is still a bug here. If we go to notifications and then we go down to FaceTime and then show as banners and turn it off, I've mentioned this before, and one of you that follows me told me that Apple actually acknowledged this. Your name's Vizberry. I really appreciate that. And you told me on Facebook, just chatting with me on my Facebook page, that Apple has acknowledged this problem in the feedback app from you reporting it, which is great. I did that as well. They've acknowledged it and said they're going to try and fix that soon. So hopefully we'll see that repaired before 11.4 comes out to the public. Now, other than that, Beta 5 between Beta 6, I haven't really had too many issues. Battery life has been better for me on Beta 6 with the exception of today. So if we go down to battery, we'll wait for it to load. My battery health is at 100% still. If I scroll down, you'll see my usage is at 5 hours and 43 minutes, 13 hours and 19 minutes, or 9 minutes standby. I'm at 40%. And normally I get almost double this, no problem. But for some reason today, YouTube says it's using a lot of background activity. I didn't know it was even running. I didn't have it using audio, so something's a little screwy there. Had that not been running, I'm not sure what my battery life would have been. On Beta 5, I was easily able to get double what I'm getting now. So there's something to be said about this. I'll need to close that out in a little bit. So on the iPad Pro 10.5, it's been really fast. I have no complaints whatsoever. On the 7 Plus, while I haven't used this every day as my daily driver or anything like that, it works pretty well. I don't really have any complaints there. However, those of you that follow me on Twitter here did have a few things to say about that. Now, as you'll see here, 55% of you said it was great, 11% said terrible, and 34% said okay, but still some bugs. Now let's scroll down and take a look and keep going. And a lot of you, I try to look and see what phones you're having, just to see if you're having issues. See no issues on the iPhone 10 and 8 Plus. It's pretty good on my SE, but battery life is still an issue. If you open two folders back to back, it lags like crazy on my 8 Plus. I did try this. I saw your post, opened the folders. I have no issues. It just doesn't slow down for me. Still the same as the first release of iOS 11. It's great so far, except the battery issues and storage issues. I'm curious what you mean by storage issues, but it says my battery overheated when playing games and battery drains fast. I'll be 70%, play a game for 6 minutes, check, it's 20% after a restart, it goes back to 70. I'm curious if you've had a battery replacement and what phone you're on. That might be related to that. I'm not sure without knowing a few more details though. Great on the iPhone 8, 8 Plus, still have the FaceTime notification bug I just mentioned there, but overall really great. Splendid. 7 Plus. Battery life has not been any better on 7 Plus. Had better battery life on Beta 2 and 3. Good on the 10, but slower than Beta 5. I wouldn't say it's really slower for me, but for some people it varies, of course. iPhone 8 Plus and iPad mini both work great. Frame rate drops. After so many updates, I can't understand Apple anymore. iOS 11.4 should be the most stable version, but still frame rate drops after I exit an app or swipe up from Notification Center. Yep, I see those frame rate drops right there. Now, one thing to keep in mind is Apple's switch to APFS, or Apple File System. This was earlier last or midway through last year, and that made a big difference as far as the back end of the whole operating system. So while it should be the most stable, because they made such a major change to the file system, which is great for the future, it still presents quite a few problems when you make that sort of a major change. So with that, you just have to keep that in mind, that while it would be nice to see it super stable, I think we'll see that with iOS 12. Working perfectly on my 6S Plus, doing great on my iPhone 7, but I'm not pretty sure what happened to the performance. According to Geekbench, my scores are lower than the last beta. That can happen from time to time. Try it when it's colder and see if it makes a difference after it's cooled down. Battery life sucks. Some say it's better, some say it's equal. I find for the moment 11.3.1 better solution for me. I would say a non-beta is always the best solution if you want the most stable release. Now, that's not always true, but most of the time that's true, because there's other things going on that they're trying to get things better overall. I never got it, but I think it's better. 11.4 Beta 6 is very smooth and fast and has better battery life on my iPhone 8. And it's been very bad on my iPad 5th gen. Plenty of stuttering while closing applications and scrolling in general. Is it normal to the system size? Yes, it's normal. That's pretty standard on betas. Let's move on to the YouTube community. And here we had 1,300 votes. There's still some time left, but 48% said great, 13% said terrible, and 39% said okay, but still some bugs. Now, this one says okay, but still some bugs. iOS 11 is the worst iOS ever. Just hope Apple will allow us downgrading to iOS 10. I would love that. You'll never see it, unfortunately. So let's scroll all the way down here. iOS 11, worst iOS ever, 7 Plus. Now, if you go back and look at some of my follow-up videos from iOS 10, I wouldn't say that 11 is that bad. I think so many people are using it now that they see it as the worst. I could be wrong, but I remember just as many bugs and stuttering issues on iOS 10. I'd like to go back and look at some of those and see, but I'm curious what you guys think about that. So for average users, most bugs aren't noticeable. However, still some deep bugs under the hood. iPhone 10, it's been solid. I'm off today and we'll give it a heavier test, though. Just removed it from the charger. It's great. Okay, but still some bugs. Still the same bugs since before Beta 4. That's true for quite a few people. Still some bugs, pretty smooth. The volume HUD in the control center is still broken. When Apple fixes one thing, and I don't have that broken still. You'll see it works fine for me if I use the buttons here. Same thing. I really don't have an issue with that. So it was fixed since Beta 5, I believe. For me anyway. I'm on iPhone 10, was listening to music on Spotify, and my iPhone restarted itself. That's not a good bug, but that's something I haven't experienced, thankfully, but hopefully report that if you haven't already under the feedback app. Okay, but still some bugs. Battery life is too poor on my iPhone 7 Plus. Some bugs on SE. I had it on my device yesterday and it crashed 2 times on my iPhone 8. When you say crash, I wonder if you mean it just resprung, crashed to the home screen, or if it completely rebooted. Not a bad update. Still could be better, but on my 7, it's not nearly as buggy as it used to be. Battery life is awful, occasionally lags as well. It seems like the older devices Apple is just kind of forgetting about these days. I think with the 10 and the 8 Plus most of the time, and the 8, it's pretty good most of the time, but I really hate the freaking battery life. Please fix it. Hopefully they fix a lot of things. It's been great for me. Very snappy on iPhone 10. Battery life is pretty good, too. I reported the FaceTime notification bug. Maybe the final Monday or Tuesday. We'll talk about the final in just a moment. The performance has been great, but the battery life is still not improved on the 6S. Battery life sucks. I mentioned that one before. I'm on the 7 Plus. The performance was good, but the battery life is so bad. I'm curious about all of you saying battery life is so bad. And what I mean by that is, are you playing a lot of games? Are you listening to a lot of music? Maybe watching YouTube a lot? I'd love to know the difference, because there's so many variables that can change your battery life. And most of the time I have great battery life, and I'm just curious, playing games is going to eat up your battery life pretty quick no matter what device you're on. But if you're just browsing the web, using email, listening to music, it shouldn't be. So I'd be curious to know what you're experiencing. Let me know in the comments below. Now, as far as the final release, I would expect a beta sometime in here, and the final release on the 4th maybe, or right before it, somewhere in here, because the 4th is iOS 12 beta 1. If they follow the previous generations of iOS, we'll see new features then. But so somewhere in here we'll see the final release, probably another beta due to the current version number, and then the GM this week, I would imagine. So look out for that, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll leave a link to the wallpaper in the description, as I always do. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe and like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.